Coffee to Me with our host, Kelly Springer. Kelly, how are you? And I know you're very, very excited about our guest.
I am very excited because this person truly is, I said before, we were talking in the green room, an angel. This person has come to me, helped my business in the way of leadership. And so I'm proud to introduce Matt Smith. And hello, Matt. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Kelly, and thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I say that you are an angel, and I was just explaining to Neil of how this whole situation happened, of how I met your wife. Your wife got inspired with our company, told you about us, and you came to us to say, "Hey, I have this leadership training program called EOS." And you told us all about it. And all I could see was like, oh my goodness, this sounds incredible, but how do we afford it? And you came to us and said, I'm going to help you. We take a pro bono a year and you're it. And I have to say to everyone listening, this is worth its weight in gold. The amount of information that we have learned, how to be a better leader, how to make decisions, how to truly put in great ways of thinking about leadership, it has changed all of my thought processes, and we're still learning. It's not done. We're going to be with Matt, I think, for life. I think you're stuck with us, Matt. But why don't you dive in and talk us through the EOS system? How did you get involved in EOS? How did this all come to be? And just give us a little insight.
Yeah, I think my journey to EOS was a long and winding road. So I started off a long time in manufacturing, engineering, operations, leadership, always trying to run a really good business and set people up for success. And after the second plant that I was working for closed down in the Buffalo area, I was like, this kind of stinks. So how do I get a little bit more control over this so that I'm not waking up and being out of a job? So that sent me down an entrepreneurial path where I was working for some smaller companies. One of those companies was a manufacturer in Buffalo. We made sleep apnea headgear. And on the leadership team, we would read books. And one of the books we read was Traction. And this was 2011, and Traction had just come out, and we liked it. We incorporated a couple of the things, but I would say that we self-implemented and got some of the benefits of Traction. Fast forward about a dozen years, I was kind of thinking about post-COVID, what is it that I want to do for the rest of my career? And I was really thinking that I was going to buy a small business. And in that discussion of buying a small business, the conversation quickly turned to, well, maybe the small business that you want to buy is EOS. I was like, what is EOS? Oh, it's based on the book Traction, and it's Entrepreneurial Operating System, and it's helping people run really great businesses and get everything out of their life that they want. Like, this is exactly what I want to do. So, I mean, fast forward, this whole thing went really fast, but in the next 2 weeks, conveniently, I talked to a couple of other people that did this for a living, also in the Buffalo area. They were super excited to have another person in the Buffalo area, which really confused me because normally competition's bad. But in the EOS world, more the merrier, because we really just want to get the word out and be able to help more and more people. So anyway, that led to a quick franchise decision, and best move I've ever made. Here I
So,
am.
so I have a question, Kelly, about EOS. So that is a franchise. Explain more what EOS is.
EOS is a franchise. It is based on the book Traction. So in the book Traction, that Gino Wickman introduced the concept of entrepreneurial operating system. So entrepreneurial operating system is how you run your business. It's not software, but it's just how you do business. Where are you going? How are you going to get there? Building team health. And it's this real elegant system of 6 components. So before he released the book Traction, he worked with, I think, about 50 clients and really fine-tuned the system. And then he quickly realized that it's hard to do this on your own. So I need professional implementers to help clients implement this. So kind of cloning himself. So he hired implementer number 2. His name was Don Tinney. Don was equally as successful as Gino, and then they hired implementer 3, Walt Brown. Walt Brown was equally as successful as Don and Gino, And they started to just kind of continue to add that, eventually franchising the model. So yes. So I'm a business coach, I'm a teacher, I'm a facilitator that was able to buy into this franchise.
And Neil, I gotta tell you, it has beyond helped me. I didn't know how much help we needed. I mean, I could sense we're a small company. We're growing rapidly. So it came, like I said, from the very beginning, this was truly like heaven sent because we were in desperate need of structure and being able to have performance indicators. And like I said, I'm still working on it. I am not a perfectionist in this EOS system at all yet. I'm going to need a lot more of Matt's assistance, but the fact that he can train us through this process and teach us about how to set goals and how to lead your meetings and being more productive, it's going to help immensely. So we just brought on a new employee because finding out, and I haven't even told Matt yet, we brought on someone new to help us out with the onboarding. We found out through going through this process that this is something that we desperately needed and we didn't have. It came to the point where I thought we were going to wait until quarter 2 to bring this person on, but it happened that we really needed to have it. And it was exposed by going through where are the gaps in your organization structure? How do you put this together? And also being able to say you're not in the right seat here, or this person is in the right seat here. And so it just, made it clear because we were kind of trying to fit people into seats that they didn't even want to have. So it's just kind of enlightening. But also tomorrow morning we do a team meeting, and just being able to have, like, they're called scorecards, and being able to understand where we are with the different verticals of our company, everyone having these scorecards readily available so everyone can see on the team of what we're doing, where we've been, how that week went. And so you're not in the dark, basically. And it's just, all of these have been new tools that we are currently still implementing into our structure.
Wow, that's a great explanation. I guess I'll go to another question from Matt. But Kelly, I love that because that's again what's making Kelly's choice going further and further up the ladder
Yeah.
because of leadership and because of organizing. And you look at entrepreneurship in so many ways through EOS, Matt, you're able to identify why you can't scale. You're able to identify it should you scale, because at times, especially because I have a lot of solopreneurs listen to my show on the Neil Haley Show, which we simulcast, and we have these conversations with my clients. Sometimes scaling is only at a certain time period. Do you have the money to scale? Do you have the infrastructure to scale? A lot of mistakes we make as entrepreneurs over and over again, instead of bringing someone in like you, Matt, to kind of really identify that operation side that's going to mess up everything. Because I mean, I could write a book on my 15 years as an entrepreneur, or 20 counting tutoring business, having a tutoring business, and saying, oh my goodness, why did I do this? Why did I want to grow so fast? Why didn't I, keep seeing where I'm bringing the most revenue in and the least amount of costs till I no longer can be able to do it? And sometimes we grow too fast and we don't profit and we fail.
Well, I think this is the thing. And I am very lucky that I have Matt in my life, but this is where, if anyone is listening to this, and basically where I was, and even I'd been in business a while, but we really truly are scaling. I didn't even know how much I should have invested in this years ago. And it's not too late. It still will change your life. It will still be worthwhile wherever you are in the process. But I mean, I I can't even tell you how valuable it has already been. And we're just still in, what, Matt, we in the first 90 days of this. So, I
A little
mean,
bit longer, 6 months.
Okay.
6 months. So it's just, we're really just changing and growing, and some of it's not easy decisions, but they're the decisions for growth. So for instance, I want to focus on this, the one onboarding that Matt kind of exposed for us. If we're bringing on all these dietitians, but we can't maintain them, we can't support them, they can't feel like they're a part of the company, we're not going to be able to keep them. And so that was just one thing out of the hundreds that were exposed with going through this, that I think entrepreneurs would really benefit from having that and having this system in place.
And Matt, especially when you're in a phase of 1 to 4 employees, and it's
Mhm.
and you decide and you look at things and say it didn't structure correctly, especially with the areas of AI now and some of the other things, you have to pivot at times. You have to
Mhm.
identify where you're going. How much are you looking at that when you work with businesses of different scales and sizes to see where the nuances are happening and the changes need to be made? Luckily, I've made too many mistakes to figure out that stuff without, maybe it would have cost me a lot less to hire someone like Matt. But ultimately, I saw those specific things and I learned to pivot at the right time, because a lot of these experts are out there telling you advice. It's the wrong advice completely.
It is. So we do this really cool thing, Neil. And instead of an organizational chart, we call it an accountability chart. And so the very first thing we do when we're working with Kelly or any of the other leadership teams is we fire everybody. So you start with a blank slate and ask the question, what's the simplest and best structure for your organization to hit your 6 and 12-month goals? And then you start dropping the pieces in place. And then in those pieces, you start to, so those are called seats. And then we plug in the 5 roles or the 5 things that somebody has to do really well to be truly excellent in that seat. And then you start filling things up and we start testing things and we start giving people live performance reviews and some other scary things. But in essence, it's the exact opposite of what most businesses do, which is, hey, I'm just going to hire a friend. I know this person, right? They're a good person, and I'm just going to kind of plug them into my organization. And then you bring them in. And when you're small, every bad hire that you make is so expensive. In going from 3 to 4, I mean, in essence, you just added 25% to your workforce. So that might be a 25% problem.
Exactly.
So it's really important. So we try, and on the flip side of that, we do a really great core values exercise, which is, what are right people? What are right people for your organization? Well, kind of hard to put your finger on, but it's not really. If you identify your handful of core values, those values that they really demonstrate who you are and the behaviors you want, then, and you can stick with that, then that's who you hire to. Though you're finding people that fit those core values like a glove. I mean, you increase your probability of a great hire by, I don't know, 2, 3, 4x. It's fantastic.
Well, Kelly, I think about the challenges when my organization grows to a specific point to have somebody. It was interesting. Neil Patel talked about that. He's not a CEO. That's why he hired a CEO. He said, "This is not what I like to do. I like to do this stuff differently." That's the challenge, is you're looking at yourself as the owner of the company or the CEO. Is this really what I like to do? And I'm sure, Matt, you identify that as well. What are the
We
strengths?
did.
Yeah.
Yep, we
Well,
did.
and I think, Matt, like for you, sorry to interrupt, but you coming in as an outsider, he doesn't, there's no stake in the game for him. And so I think that also of having someone come in from the outside, he doesn't know Susan Smith or this, that, or whatever. He doesn't have any attachments. He's just helping you look at things clearly. And I think that really helps too, because in a small business, you're all interconnected and there's personal relationships and all of that. And so, I think that having a consultant come in and kind of helping you through the process and saying, like, well, maybe Susan Smith isn't the right person for this, but this is why. And this is how we can actually talk to Susan Smith to get her into maybe the right place, or maybe she's not the right person.
Do you think EOS
100%.
has a, so I was going to also ask this question. Do you think EOS is for every entrepreneur or only for certain organizations with a certain size?
There's a couple things that must happen, which is we're not very good at helping people find product market fit. So EOS at its core is all about business execution. So if you're in the really early stages of, I haven't found my minimum viable product yet, I'm really trying to find out who my customer is and what I do, then it's not really the right time. But as soon as you found that product market fit, to start to incorporate in the tools, it's only a handful of tools, Neil. Our whole toolbox is like 10 tools, and they're all simple, they're all time tested, but they just work really, really well together in this complete system. And then as you grow, you just get to go deeper and deeper. And, like Kelly has said, she and Claire are kind of early on in this mastery journey, but they're really fast learners. And as they grow, then they get to enhance their knowledge by teaching other people in Kelly's choice.
Yeah.
Quite interesting. So Kelly, what do you, so you brought up that one hire was important. What do you think it's helped in your whole company morale and understanding the vision and mission of where Kelly's Choice is going? Because I keep hearing that as your organization keeps growing, the
Yeah.
importance of where we're going. It seems like you're
Well,
very, very focused and laser focused where to go.
I think it was honestly the clarity of where we truly are. I think a lot of and I probably was guilty of this. I was just talking to my daughter actually on the couch last night about this. She's 17 years old and she's like, I don't think I ever want to own my own company based on what I've seen, because both her dad and I both own a company. And she's like, I just want to work for someone. And I said, well, I hope that you understand all the struggles that your employer actually goes through, because a lot of employees don't know. And I think what was happening in our company was that people were seeing, oh, we got this contract, or we have this many private practices, and they were equating that to dollar signs. But with the clarity of these, the scorecards, we're able to actually see how much the company is bringing in. And it was a huge aha moment to realize that the dollars are not as great as they seem when you actually take into account operating expenses and everything else. I honestly, I think it was seriously the scorecard that was like, oh, well, we brought, no, you didn't. You're actually negative $700 in this vertical. And I think the honesty and clarity that this EOS system has brought to us has also made it so like, wow, we need to all pull together as a team, so that Kelly can actually have a paycheck here, So I think that that has really helped too. So it's something as simple as that, just honesty and clarity.
100%. No, no one's going to go, Matt. EOS, the O, operations person is one of the most important jobs and
Mhm.
success of a business. If you don't understand the operations side of things, you're not going to run things well. You can bring sales in, you can bring clients in, but your churn is going to be so bad and your profitability is going to go bad without operating it correctly.
You are spot on. We also teach, though, I mean, it's the same methodology that helps the operations person be better, also helps the person who owns the marketing and sales seat, and also the finance seat, because you need three really good people there. We run through this kind of neat exercise where we just ask everybody hypothetically, hey, you have the best salesperson in the world, but you don't have somebody very good in operations, but you got somebody really great in finance. What happens to your business? Your business doesn't grow because you're leaving customers hanging, in essence, for product. So, and you can play that game with the other variations as well. In essence, you need three really strong people. And every business foundations has somebody that needs to lead marketing and sales, because you need to generate leads, you need to close those leads, bring dollars in, you need to execute really well to deliver your product and service, and then you also need somebody really strong in finance. Because if you got all this cash going in, but you don't manage it very well, as you said earlier, Neil, you can grow yourself into a big hole and ultimately shut yourself down. So,
And then you
yeah,
have to
when you,
pivot. And if you're least are willing and humble to be pivoting, and it's the best pivot I've made. I'm
right.
scaling my organization now in a way where it's scalable forever. And I won't mention this on my show because then people say, "Hey, what secret do you have that you could scale unlimited?" Well,
Yeah.
I'm working on that after I saw that you can't duplicate me. And that's the process you have to look at. And Kelly, I'm sure
Hmm.
you said yourself, I know my skill sets, and this is where I'm looking at my organization, and this is where I really need to be the best at.
Well, that
And
is part of the EOS. So this is where the very first thing that Matt said was, basically, if I was on an island somewhere, what are the things that I would need to know that the company is running successfully? And in and truthfully, you can't be successful if I'm trying to do everybody's job. I have to get people set up, like you're saying, for success, because I am one person. I can't be the marketing in this. And, as entrepreneurs, we do wear all those hats, but we're at the point in time where that's not successful and not scalable at all.
And it's interesting. And it's an interesting time. Matt, give us a quick tip before we go of what and how an entrepreneur should evaluate themselves right now, Q1, we're second month in. What should we look at before we contact Matt? Because that's everyone that can't answer that question needs to contact Matt. But like the first step, and then they could get a rude awakening from that one point.
I think it's if you have grown yourself, every entrepreneur starts off with a great idea and they grow a certain amount organically. And then all of a sudden that growth slows down or stops. And so you kind of hit a ceiling. And I think for the person that has hit that ceiling, has identified they've hit that ceiling and they've started, right, they're starting to get frustrated. And so that frustration's leading them to, hey, I want to try this thing. I want to try this thing. I want to try this thing. They're in essence creating a organizational whiplash in their company and driving everybody crazy. That's really, if you're that person, then EOS can really help you.
Great. That was a great explanation. Matt, where can people go to find info on you and contact you?
They can go to my website, which is through the EOS Worldwide website, www.eosworldwide.com, and then a slash, forward slash, and then Matt, M-A-T-T hyphen Smith.
Excellent. And Kelly, we can pick up your book available on Amazon, but also we can go where?
Go to kellyschoice.org. But I truly appreciate having Matt on the show today. Thank you, Matt, for helping us so much. And I know a lot more help is needed in the future as we go through our growth and where we're going to be. But again, thank you so much. I'm forever grateful for you. Thank you. Thank you. And definitely reach out to Matt today. It will help your business.
Excellent. That was a special simulcast of Neil Haley Show and the Talk Healthy to Me podcast, guys. Take care.